Welcome to the No Budget Filmcast, where we dip into the independent film universe to highlight those little films that you might not have heard about elsewhere. Will you agree with our panel, or will our panel agree with each other? Tune in to find out. I am Milo Dennison, and with me, as always, is Claire Milan.
Hello.
And Cathal Feeney.
Hello.
I should put some echoey reverb every time I say your last one because I'm Feeney.
Yeah.
This week, we are watching a short film called The Dentist by a guy by the name of Michael Brian Rawlins. And what it is it has a dentist in the Old West who's on his wagon rolling through town, and a robber comes up behind him on his horse with his gun and basically goes to rob him. But the dentist has no money or anything like that on him, and the robber's getting quite offended at this. But you could tell that the criminal has a toothache. And so the guy's like, well, I'm a dentist. Let me help you out with that. And that's kind of where some of the comedy ensues, is that he then offers to tear out the guy's tooth in exchange for the guy not stealing his dental equipment. And then something happens after that, which I don't know if we should tell what happens after that because it might spoil the film. Or should we? I don't know. Should we decide? What do you guys think? Should we say the,
you can avoid it.
say the twist at the end?
I think we should. Yeah, because we're a little handicapping ourselves by not. It's only a short film.
So say what happens.
Watch the film and then watch our review. So you agree with us?
All right. Well, the film ends then by the dentist, in the process of pulling the tooth out, takes the gun away from the guy, and then ends up, shooting him in a bit of a little kind of a scuffle. And what we learn, however, is our dentist is quite a little scam artist, because he flips up the back of his wagon and we see that in the wagon is stuff that he's gotten from other people. Or it could just simply be that it's his stuff that he was hiding from the other guy. But no, there were bodies in there, weren't there? Yeah, there was a body in there. That's right.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it. It works and it doesn't work because I have a harder time buying the incompetence of the dentist guy, because what if the criminal just shot him? Then the whole thing would be pointless. Like the robber just comes up and is like, I'm going to rob you. Well, you don't have anything. Well, whatever. I'm going to shoot you and then go on his way. So there's this assumption at the hand of the dentist that the criminal is going to not shoot him and give him an opportunity to take the gun away from him, which is kind of ridiculous.
You're applying logic. That never done.
Yeah. So I just think for me, it was like an advert or something. There was something I thought the cinematography was amazing. Like, it was very, very high quality, and it opened in a really lovely wide shot. And I liked the directing of it and the angles, and there was good tension in it with really nice music. But yeah, there was something a bit on the nose about the dialogue that just jarred at me slightly. And yeah, there was something that just didn't grab me. And even the end, I just wasn't 100% convinced for some reason. It was kind of like watching an ad for a drink or a new whiskey or something, or a beer. But yeah, I love the cinematography. I loved even the colors of the film came out really well. And it's quite interesting because Michael Brian Rawlins and Travis Yeager, who plays the robber, they both wrote it as well as acting in it. So, but yeah, no, I did enjoy it, but I think some of the dialogue was a little bit on the nose, and there's just something that didn't convince me 100%.
Okay, I'm delighted to hear the way this is going, because it really echoes how I felt about it. It was like an opening scene from a series. If this was the setting stage for a series or even a film, you kind of be interested. Okay, I wonder where this is going to go. What's this guy's backstory? What's his forward story? But in and of itself, it was average enough. It did look brilliant. The cinematography and the scene and everything like that. But the story nothing to it. And I'll tell you, I'll give you an example how bland it is. That normally, like we were supposed to review this last week, and normally I would rewatch a film just to refresh my memory, but I didn't have to with this film. I just said, "Oh yeah, that film, that was it." So it was just an average, Western.
Yeah, I felt there was something incomplete about it. It is. It's like the opening of an episode of a series, and you're kind of just getting into the series to say before the opening credits, and you see this, and it kind of sets it up. But for a short film, it wasn't satisfying enough. Like I just left, and I was thinking, oh, I don't know about this. There's nothing really that grabbed me. Except the cinematography. I think it was just the story and the dialogue just let it down and left me on kind of an unsatisfied feeling after watching it. I did actually watch it again because I forgot exactly what happened. So I watched it again earlier. But yeah, there was something that didn't convince me, and the end just didn't convince me.
Yeah, I'm with you, Carl. I thought about watching it again because it had been a couple of weeks since I'd seen it. And it was like, do I really need to rewatch it? No, I don't. I pretty much can remember everything that I need to know about this. It's kind of almost like a skit, but it's too long to be a skit. And I mean, we've seen plenty of films that since we've been doing this, that are in the 6-minute length that can have a lot of good content in it and quality performances and story. And for a little over 6 minutes, yeah, it's cool that he has access to all of the Westerny stuff and can shoot it all, and the location and everything. But when it comes down to story, it was quite the letdown. The reason why I kind of picked this too is because he does a lot of these. He's kind of known for this, doing these kind of old Westerns. So he must have access to all of this equipment somehow, which is kind of cool. Like if I had access to it, I totally would do a bunch of like short Western themed films. But this one's not my favorite one.
And even at the end, I don't see the point of changing clothes. So
yeah.
But I think they missed an opportunity here that they could have taken some risks with the genre, because if you think about all those old cowboy films, they're very safe. Even though people are being killed, it's very polite. The dialogue, the language. Oh, after you, bang bang, you're dead. I think they could have mixed it up a bit and trying a bit more realistic dialogue. I'm sure people didn't speak like that exactly.
It was a bit stilted, wasn't it? And it's funny, if you have access to this fabulous location and obviously fabulous cinematography and all this stuff, like if you can make a brilliant script, you can launch your career, because he has access to all this, and if he just gets the script right, he'll fly, But this just didn't work.
There was no tension.
Yeah,
you knew what was going to happen, and it happened. And I felt that they gave him a bit of an out, dentist guy, because by the other fella drawing gave him the opportunity to shoot. But what if he didn't? What are you going to do? He's going to stand there forever? Like, I think if he just murdered him, it would have suddenly changed the dynamic. Oh, this guy is not such a nice guy after all, or something like that. I mean, they could have done a lot there, and they just didn't.
And also, he said that when the robbers are looking at the tools, they're not valuable, but they're actually, wouldn't they be very valuable? Because the way they're
because they're rare. Like, I mean, there's not a lot of dentists in the Old West.
Yeah, so they would have been extremely valuable tools to steal for a robber. In my opinion, I'm not sure, but I'm sure they would, because they were probably still metal, or so there'd be some value of them. They wouldn't be like, these aren't of any value. They would be extreme value, to rob.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what interests me in the first place, because when I saw like a dentist Western, that's not something you hear about. You don't really hear about dentists back in the Old West. So it would have been nice to see something interesting about what dentists had to do back then. But instead, it was just a, robbery twist that's not really a twist that you don't really care about and isn't justified. So great. Yeah.
You must have had terrible teeth back then in real life. Like
Yeah.
you forget that. Well, I don't know. They obviously did have dentists. I'm sure they just pulled all their teeth, but still, people must have been in agony.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to explore that a bit more.
The Crimean War, the charge of the light brigade and all that. That's at the end. I'm sure they did in other wars, but I remember reading that they went around to all the dead bodies taking the teeth out.
Oh God.
For dentistry purposes, to give to other people.
So they would put the teeth in other, so they had to pull somebody else's tooth out. They'd replace it with a tooth taken off of a dead person.
So yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds nice.
And also, I think that was where Florence Nightingale started.
Oh,
okay. We learned something today. All right. Anything else you guys have to say about this particular film?
It started out promisingly enough, I thought, as you say, with the dentist, and then the chair. That was a bit. It is interesting, it's intriguing. Where's it going to go? And then it just went nowhere, really.
Yeah, did not go anywhere. All right, guys. Well, let's rate it then. Who wants to go first?
Okay, so I'll go first. So I thought it was beautiful cinematography and the colors. I just let down by the story and the script. So for me, it's 2.5 stars.
I just thought it was a mediocre film. Had an opportunity to do something better, and they didn't. So this falls into that old argument about production values versus story. So the production values are really good, and the story isn't so good. So you could probably sort of give it a 2.5 instead. But I'm going to give it 2, and then I'm going to dock it half a point because this is pure pure grade begrudgery, because I noticed that it's got over 1 million views on YouTube. And how is that even possible? That's such a mediocre film as this could get so many views. So out of pure meanness, I'm going to dock it half a star and give it 1.5.
Wow. And to add to that call, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah. 1.4 million views, over 29,000 likes versus 1,000 dislikes.
It's the Western then. I'd say there's a big market for Westerns on YouTube.
Geez. There's your next film, Claire. Make a Western.
Yeah, Western. That's where I'm going wrong.
Yeah. I'm with you guys. I was quite disappointed in this, and it does go to the argument of like production value versus story, because it does have great production value, but the story was such a letdown that I've got to drop it down to a 2-star rating for me. So 2 stars. And that's it. No Budget Filmcast audience. We were a little bit let down by this particular film. Of course, we'll throw a link up so that you can have a watch and let us know what you think. You can reach out to us on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook at No Budget Show. And that's where you can tell us your opinion on this film, if you gave it a thumbs up or a thumbs down when you watched it. And with that, we'll say, see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.